Okay, so one of those multi-enterprise business networks that, of course, IBM and many others are talking a lot about today is blockchain. Blockchain is the culmination of distributed computing, a lot of sophisticated cryptography, right? All being driven by a need to collaborate better in a more secure way. That's it in a nutshell, right? We all want our own copy of information. We want it to be secure. We want to share, but we want it secure. But we know we all have to work together to get more efficient. That's what blockchain does. So we talk about these at IBM. These are the 4 tenets of the technology. Number 1, shared, everybody has a copy. Okay, that's the distributed computing. Append only. That means I can put something on the blockchain, but I can't take anything off. And I can't edit anything that I already put there. I can put a new, think of it as a link in the chain, that says, oh, link 34 back here had an error, or has been updated to this. But I can't go back and change the link that I had posted earlier. So there's no question, there's no he said, she said. How many of you have invoice disputes? Yeah. So blockchain has been piloted quite a bit. IBM, did this for invoice disputes. We know who said what every step of the way. We know who did what every step of the way. So, the he said, she said just flattens, okay? Smart contract governance. So smart contract here is a misnomer. This is not a legal contract, has nothing to do with legal contracts. And it's only smart if the people who wrote the code did a good job. Because what it really is the business logic. It's when the user of the solution does this, the system will do this. It's just like any other enterprise application. It has a function. So blockchain is really kind of 2 things. It's a way to be connected, and it's a solution for a particular set of use cases on top. The smart contracts are the use cases on top, and the business logic that executes inside the solution. Okay? Private and permissioned. So I'm sure you've all heard about Bitcoin, and this is where I have to make the distinction between a public blockchain and a private blockchain. Okay? Bitcoin is a public blockchain. What that means is anybody who wants to join can join, and when you're on the blockchain, you are anonymous. You don't know who anybody else is, and they don't know who you are. You are anonymous. Okay? And while that works well for cryptocurrencies and what you see happening in the world, in that space, that doesn't work well for enterprise. We don't want just anybody signing on, right? And we want to know who is on and who we're sharing what information with. So when we talk about blockchain for the enterprise, we're talking about private and permissioned blockchain, which again, I'm going to equate back to it is just like any other enterprise application in the sense that there are roles defined and there are levels of access, things that you can and can't do based on your role. Okay? So we administrate IDs and log on and things like that just like any other enterprise application, except we've got the security of the blockchain underpinning the solution. Okay? Trust through consensus. Consensus in blockchain means that when I want to put information on the blockchain, I actually propose it. Consensus means other members of the network have to validate that. And the consensus requirement can be very high or it can be very low. I can say that this type of event, when posted by this entity, this person, to validate has to have 50% consensus across the network. That would mean at least half of the people have to agree that what I'm saying I'm putting on the network is actually true. We all agree, right? Or, certain parties on the network have to agree before it will post. And if those consensus requirements aren't met, it never posts. It doesn't become part of the chain. It comes back to me to figure out, why did it not? Okay, so I've got to go figure out why. and then I can get it on the chain, right? Address those concerns. That's why once it's on the chain, the he said, she said is gone, because it all happens before it actually posts. Okay? But again, the consensus requirement should match the problem you're trying to solve with the solution. You know, sometimes you need high consensus requirement, sometimes you only need one or two other people. If my truck says I dropped it off at your warehouse, who needs to agree to that? Somebody at the warehouse, right? That's the consensus requirement.